welcome back everyone to Tiny Table Talk for episode 4 of The Challenge Season 35 Total Madness. This was a pretty chilling episode, so grab your jackets and let's begin. Now this episode of the challenge starts off with major drama as Bear decides to whip out a fire extinguisher and spray its contents in a very confined space with a ton of people in it. Now specifically the people inside the room did not find this funny whatsoever compared to the people that weren't in the situation at all. Ashley specifically was pissed off with Bear, decides to take all the residue and fire extinguisher fumes that were in her mouth from the incident and spit it back at Bear, and it hit his, the side to back area of his head and neck region. This fuels a big argument between Ashley and Maddie, who just seemed to become friends not too long ago, at least that's what the edit shows us. They get into a huge fight inside the kitchen, and then Maddie and Nani get into a fight with each other, and it just explodes into tons and tons of drama. Now, I will say that I thought the fire extinguisher moment was a pretty funny TV moment at the time, but thinking back to everything that's going on, how confined the space is, all the recycled air that they're going with, and how much of a mess he created, I don't really condone what Bear did. And I definitely don't condone Ashley spitting on Bear, as that is considered an assault outside of the house, but we've seen spitting happen in other MTV productions. We've seen it on X on the Beach when Taylor spit on Alicia from on top of a balcony / stairs. Some people thought that Ashley should have been DQ'd because if you're DQ'd for hitting somebody, you should be DQ'd for spitting on somebody, which I totally understand where people are coming from. It just doesn't seem like that's in the repertoire of MTV's production. And we also saw Bear coming in late to the kitchen area where everybody was after the whole fire extinguisher situation, and that was probably because production took him aside, told them not to do it ever again, and probably asked them about the whole spitting situation. So with that being said, I don't condone either person's actions in this scenario, and I don't think Bear should have done the fire extinguisher thing. I think it makes for a good TV moment. I don't think that means good as in the overall good of people's health and safety. Now in this episode, we had a daily challenge called Cold War, where people were put into teams of 5, where 3 people on a team would have to jump into a very cold pool to take out all these puzzle pieces, while 2 people from another team is up at the second level, chipping away at an ice block and sending ice cubes down to make the pool even colder. Now on my Thursday video, I mentioned how this seemed unfair at the beginning, because I was like, hey, they must have to warm up the water or something, because the later teams are being penalized for something out of their control. That's totally unfair. So team 1, who gets the pool at 62 degrees, will have a bigger advantage going against teams even 2, 3, 4, and 5, where we saw team 5 had a pool of 51 degrees. These teams were chosen at random. They didn't do a separate daily challenge or a separate challenge altogether to see what order they were going to be going in. And this is where I feel as though I said it was unfair, but this was egregiously unfair, and I feel like it was unorganized and totally terribly planned. I feel as though if you cannot make a daily challenge at least somewhat fair throughout, then scrap this idea. This should not even be anywhere close to becoming a daily challenge, because 1, somebody almost really got hurt, and 2, this is a huge disadvantage. The team 5 didn't do anything. These teams were picked at random. These orders were picked at random, and to penalize team 5 with 51 degree temperatures of water compared to 62 degrees for team 1, that's just totally unfair. I don't blame Corey, Kyle for saying, let's just get out of here, we're not gonna win the puzzle anyways, and this water is cold. Nelson almost froze to death in 50 something degree weather that was warmer than 51. To me, I'm just fuming at this because it just seemed like it was so unfair. There's only 5 teams, yet team 1 gets a huge advantage for what? Being able to pick a name out of a hat first? And I hate that this was a daily challenge. I thought it was poorly planned, and it just was dumb. I just thought it was so dumb. We can't go one episode without talking about Dee, as Dee is in all of these episodes. We've only had 4 challenge episodes so far in this season, and Dee is in majority of all these. But this episode is a little bit different, as this didn't highlight her relationship with Rogan. No, it really highlighted her reputation within the house. I think, though, people really enjoyed Dee last season, and then coming into this season, something has majorly changed. The first episode, everybody was rooting for her in that first daily challenge, saying how great she's doing, but up to episode 4 now, people are really gunning after her. The first name out of the tribunal / pentabunal's mouths this episode was Dee. They wanted to bring her in to interrogate her and possibly throw her into the elimination to take her out because they don't, 1, trust her, or 2, don't like her. And that's such a different reputation than what she had even last season, or maybe in even episode 1. It seems like this huge arc is happening for Dee, and people are looking at her to take her out. Maybe that, yes, she wanted to get thrown in, so it plays into her hand. Maybe she knew after the house voted that she wanted to go in against Ashley, that she lost out her shot in episode 2 to go up against Jen in what seemed to be a relatively easy elimination. So now she didn't want to lose out on another chance to get her red skull by going up against Ashley, who she feels as though she can beat in both her puzzle abilities and physical abilities. And I feel as though what she said about Ashley in the nomination ceremony was a bit of a blindside, especially to Ashley, but to everyone else, because it seemed as though up to this point, Ashley and Dee were like this. They were all together with each other. They were huge friends. And then all of a sudden, after everybody gives their reasonings, Dee is just like, oh, Ashley, we talk, we're friends, but guess what? I can't trust you anymore. Like, where in the heck did that come from? Is it because you want to come out to the other females in the house that, oh, I wasn't really with Ashley? Like, what is that? I feel as though now people can't trust you if you were this close with Ashley and then saying her name and saying that you can't trust her. I just feel as though that Dee's reputation could be taking a bit of a hit this season, not with just us as the fans, but also the people in the rest of the house, which is way more important if you're in the game right now, because you don't know, maybe she could become the new Jay, or somebody wanting to come after her and then she's getting thrown in way later into the season, or even next Girls' Day, and she's going up against somebody that she doesn't feel like she can win against. I mean, just because you have a red skull doesn't mean that you're safe from going into the elimination. Now it's time to give up my rankings of the top 3 males and females from this episode of The Challenge Total Madness, and we're gonna start off with the top 3 females of episode 4, and at number 3 we have Kaycee Clarke. She finally got a confessional. She got some screen time, and she made it into the pentabunal, which is mainly why she got some screen time. Not a whole lot of talking happening in the pentabunal, but I wanted to say that if you're getting screen time and you're safe and you know you can't go in that episode of the challenge, that's always a good thing. Number 2 is going to be Kayla. She's starting up some new drama in the house that doesn't have to deal with Dee or Rogan, and I'm excited to have it. So I'm happy that she got some confessionals. And at number 1 is none other than Big T. She finally got some screen time. She got a lot of confessionals. She got into power and used it to the best of her ability, and I loved it. I loved seeing Big T whine and dine and talk big moves, and whether it was for real or not, because some of the Holy Trinity Alliance members are coming out saying that they were kind of joking about how Big T was talking and how they didn't really think it was real or whatever. Who cares? It was fun to watch, and it was fun to see Big T have her moment. So she's the number 1 female in episode 4 of The Challenge Total Madness. Now let's go over to the top 3 males I have for this episode, and at number 3 is Bear. It was a moment in TV. It started some drama, and Bear is just, he just does that, and he makes TV moments. Whether you agree with it or not, condone his actions or not, Bear makes good TV. And at number 2, we have Wes for being the team player that he is and donating his pee while during that daily challenge to help warm up his teammates. It did not help, as they did not win that daily challenge, but he did what he had to do, and shout out to the rest of his teammates for having to swim in his urine. And at number 1, we have none other than Nelson Thomas. Yes, he did not finish this week's daily challenge, almost giving up everything, possibly even almost having to DQ possibly. I mean, he got taken away in an ambulance. More than not, if you're getting taken away in an ambulance on the challenge, you're not just easily coming back in, walking up in your ambulance Uber and your new cool jacket. So shout out to Nelson. I'm so happy he's still in this game. I'm so happy that he's not facing any real life-threatening health injuries because of this daily challenge. So good on you. Glad to see you're still in the game, and see what happens next. Alright, now time to read some comments from my Thursday video on the challenge Total Madness episode 4, and we're gonna start off with Alexis Bragg Cole. She says, I was okay with whoever went home. Both ladies leave a bad taste in my mouth, but I do enjoy Ashley's confessionals. The daily challenge was super unfair and dangerous, and for the first time I disagreed with TJ about Corey's team being quitters. Glad Nelson ended up being okay. As for Bear, what's new? LOL. I totally agree with this comment, and I think a lot of people agreed in the comment section. From what I skimmed, everybody said I didn't care who went home, Ashley or D. I do agree with you. I'm so glad you agree with me that the daily challenge was super unfair, it was dangerous, and I too am glad that Nelson is still in this game. And the next comment is from Adriana Espiga. I felt like this episode wasn't as exciting as the other ones, and the challenge was extremely unfair. I agree with you. I felt as though that the daily challenge lacked a little bit. I felt as though it was unfair, and I couldn't get my mind around how unfair it was, that I couldn't enjoy it at all. I think there was something to each one, it just wasn't executed well on screen, and yeah, I do agree that it was a little bit boring. The next comment comes from Sarah S, and they say, tribunal means court of law in Latin, so it doesn't come from the word tri meaning 3. On that way, tribunal can include more than 3 members, but pentabunal sounds funny. Wow, thank you so much for not chastising me, for not knowing what tribunal actually means. I do appreciate this this tidbit, this fact, and who says you don't learn something from reality TV? So thank you so much for letting me know at least, and I'm so happy that you found pentabunal funny. I thought it was funny, so that's why I wanted to keep saying it, and I thought I was really onto something with pentabunal, but apparently I was just totally and utterly wrong. So thank you for just letting me know, and I'm glad you found it funny, because now I'm not fully embarrassed by that. And the edit says, I hate Ashley, but dang, I wish D went home on that one. This situation between D, Rogan, and whoever she will make out with just to make Rogan jealous is pathetic. Grow the F up, D. He doesn't deserve you or any other girl. He just wants some fun. That's why he was into, quote unquote, into Jen. Beautiful, not the smartest girl in the house. I think a lot of people agree with your take on Rogan, and especially D and Rogan's relationship. Maya says, if Tori was in that elimination, Jordan would have 100% helped her with the order of the season, so I'm not sure why everyone's freaking out on Wes. For as long as I've known the challenge, people could help each other out in the challenges the best that they can. Maybe they're just yelling their support for one person or the other, but there's been times where we've seen people help each other out. So there's a lot of people yelling for D should have been DQ'd or whatever because of that, but we've seen it happen in previous seasons, and I really do think a lot of people are honing on to the fact that it was D, or Wes should have been not able to help her out. So I think it's all depends on which side you're at, but what do you think about it? Let me know that in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say, whether people should help other people in the elimination, or do you think that should be completely banned? Let me know that in the comment section below. And the last comment is from Young Fredo, says, I don't know why Ashley told Johnny to get Wes out when Johnny was the one violating her this whole time. I think a lot of people felt this way and was confused by that, because it was just last week, in last week's episode 3, that Johnny and Ashley were butting heads, and Ashley was vying for people to vote Johnny into the elimination so he would be sent home early. But now it seemed like everything was flipped upside down, and now Ashley is telling Bananas and rooting for Bananas to take out Wes. I think it all boils down to is that Ashley felt hurt by Wes. Wes is the main proponent of why she's leaving this game so early. It's because Wes helped D in that elimination. And Ashley also feels as though, hey, we're friends. We were working together before you and D were working together. Why aren't you helping me out or not helping to take me out of this game entirely. So even though Ashley and Bananas are rivals, she feels more hurt from Wes, or she feels more betrayed by Wes for Wes helping her opponent in this elimination instead of helping her win. So I think that's where it all boils down to. But that's it for this episode of Tiny Table Talk for the Challenge Season 5 Total Madness. What'd you think about this episode? Let me know that in the comment section below. What'd you think about the whole spitting situation? Let me know that. And I would like to know what you have to say. Should people be able to help people in the eliminations, or should that be totally and utterly banned? Let me know that in the comment section below. And do you think that Jordan actually looks like Waluigi here? I'm sorry, I just wanted to use that Photoshop so bad. I've been waiting for it, but he didn't really do anything in this episode, so I couldn't talk about him. So I wanted to bring it up here. But thank you so much for watching. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back really soon with more challenge content, brief histories, top 10s, top 5s, deep dives, much more. Also join me on Thursdays for the Challenge Total Madness review and recaps, Survivor review and recaps also on Thursdays, and join me next week for another Tiny Table Talk discussion for the Challenge Total Madness. But until then, peace.